What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode of Sit Down with Alex. Today's episode is kind of a sad one because I recorded one on May 1st and my audio got messed up. So I'm gonna just kind of recite on some of the things that I've wanted to talk about. Um, but yeah. Anyway, what I do want to say is that today is a special day because look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I finally got a full fledged Bible, which is awesome. My comic Bible is still around. I lost it somewhere. I do not know where it's at the moment. But we do have the Holy Bible, the King James Version. Um, my good friend Uriel told me that was a good way, a good Bible to start at and stuff like that. And obviously, I go on TikTok and I see a bunch of other Bibles, the Ethiopian Bible, and there's a bunch of other books that when I get into it, I get like I get a little, overwhelmed in a way because it's a lot, like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that. It's a lot of scary stuff, a lot of things, but I think for right now we're gonna stick with we're gonna stick with this. The writing on it is like old English. They have the art thou and stuff like that, the Shakespeare kind of talk. Um, uh, I have been reading it day by day. So if you guys really do want to read with me in a way, I'll leave my TikTok down below. I'll try to read a verse every night before, or at least a page every night before I go to bed and stuff like that. Right now we're gonna do Genesis 4:13, and we're gonna try to read it up until the 5. Once we hit to the 5, so yeah. Um, but yeah, in today's episode, I kind of just want to talk about something that I've been thinking as of recent. A lot of things have been starting to shift in my life. And in last episode, I've talked about how I felt whenever there is gonna be a shift, or whenever there is gonna be a change, that there's a tug on my shirt and it's the old me trying to make me stay in the spot where I'm still at. Um and this happens a lot, more than it should in a way, because what I want is I want to fully, it's either you have your foot in, it's either you can't have a 1 foot in 1 foot out with God. It's either you're fully in, you go, you commit, or you don't. you know so I feel like this is where um faith comes back into the conversation, because how strong is your faith? And I feel like the word faith is the most important word when it comes to a bunch of these things. Don't get me wrong, putting your faith into somebody like that is something very scary, because it's like, is it going to work out? Is it not? There's a bunch of other things out in this world that we do not understand. But what we do know is we have God. So, kind of, I mean, that's what I use to, in order to feel easy when it comes to, you know, this type of thing. So, this is what I'm going to say to you right now. Okay. I feel the shift. I feel like I'm starting to overcome the old me in a way. I try to read the word every night. I pray every morning. It's like I know what to do, but it just feels off in a sense, because I feel like I'm doing it wrong and stuff like that. But I feel like that's not the case. I feel like you're doing the works, but it doesn't matter until you yourself truly have that faith and have that trust in doing so. You understand what I feel like it makes sense to me. Might not make sense to others, but to me, that's how I feel. I feel like, yes, we could do the works. We could go out there and try to be as good as a human as we can, which is impossible. But we could try. We could try to better ourselves every day. We could try to read the word, pray, go to church and stuff like that. But that at the end of the day, that's not gonna matter if you in your heart you don't believe, you don't have the faith, you don't trust, you don't submit. All of that doesn't matter if you don't submit. That's a good word. Now, it's not gonna happen overnight. Don't get me wrong, it really isn't going to happen overnight, but I feel like working towards it and trying to do our works and trying to truly change within ourselves, it can't be a chore. It's not a chore to do the things that going to church or doing services and reading the word. It cannot feel like a chore. It cannot be like, oh, okay, I have to, because now you're thinking of, it's like a reward system where it's like, I have to do this in order to be good, to get rewarded in the future, right? No, it's not going to do that, because I feel like the day of judgment comes, you're like, oh, I'm good because I've done my works, but you never had that little seed of faith. You know what I'm saying? You didn't really fully trust it. You only had one foot in, while the other foot was you going out and you doing the things that you wanted to do. You didn't fully trust into God's plan. You kind of, when things start, so this is where is a good thing, good thing to kind of walk into. When you hit a crossroads, right? This happens to me too. When you hit a crossroads, you hit a bump on the road, you hit a dead end. The first thing you do is, all right, what do I got to do to get out of it? When we should pray and take it to the Lord first. That's where we're having trouble here, because we don't tend to, our first reaction isn't to bring it to the Lord and be like, Lord, I'm going through this. What should I do? Please guide me to the right direction. Pray, keep praying, keep having your faith strong. But when something goes south, we take initiative and be like, all right, I gotta step up. I gotta take myself out. No, that's not trusting. That's just following what we trust, our own intuitive thoughts, our own. We take initiative. I feel like a good example I could say is, there is a story where I read. Okay, there's a story where I read. Sorry, I was gonna yawn, but there was a story that I read in my comic book Bible. I hate that I don't have it right now, because I really wish I could, figure out the name and stuff like that. But basically, the story goes like this: this man, who was a faithful man, a man of God, who loved God, and his faith was as strong as a rock. He had everything. He had a nice flock of animals. He had family. He had love. He had anything that you could ever imagine. And he had faith. And the devil came to God and said, that take that all away. Let me take everything away that you provided to him, and watch him curse you. Watch him turn your back on you. And the Lord agreed, and God said, yeah, go for it. And so it happened. The man who had everything now has nothing. Children dying. The ones that he loved are leaving. His animals, his money, his everything down to the core, to the man himself, has been just taken away. And not once did this man ever go look up in the sky and curse at God, and to never in his life question it. I could be wrong, because I do remember in the passage, but what I'm saying is, he never turned his back away. His faith was strong as a rock, to even when he had nothing. He looked up in the sky and said, Lord, if this is a test, please let me know, please. I don't understand what is happening, but I know that you're with me, and I know that you're there. And the one thing that was said in that book that resonated, that I took, and I was like, you know what? Right. He's right, that the Lord will provide. Anything that happens, every time something got taken away more and more and more again, he just sat there and said, okay, the Lord will provide. I have to keep pushing forward. My faith I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep going forward. The Lord will provide. And that is something that has kind of resonated with me in a way, and kind of made me a shift in a way. A big shift happened when I read that. And now, to finish off the story, the devil failed. And God said, all right, that's enough. You've done enough, and because of that, whatever he had before doubled, and God gave him more than what he had before. You know what I'm saying? Like he had more money, more love, more family. Everything that he had came back, but double. And it's a beautiful story because it just shows you that if you don't lose faith, I don't want to say that if you don't lose faith, then you're going to get rewarded in the end, which, yes, you're going to be invited to the kingdom of heaven. And yes, you're going to be with eternal life and be with God and be happy. Yes. But you can't have that, how can I say, that mentality of, okay, like I said before, let's do good works. Let's not give up and stuff like that. It's taking advantage. You're saying, it's a double-edged sword here. Some people like to take advantage, and some people just genuinely believe and genuinely be like, all right, the Lord will provide. So, and I feel like that's where going in today's world is like, once we hit a crossroads, we take initiative. We don't take our problems to the Lord first. We don't go to the Word, or we don't kind of go to God first. We kind of try to deal with the problem we have by ourselves with nobody's help. Like, oh, I got this, I'm gonna fix it. No, God knows everything. God could nothing's ever too challenging for God. So why not bring it to Him? And I feel like we kind of have to retrain ourselves to kind of, you know, have that relationship with Him. Like, I'm going through this. I'm gonna talk to God first. I'm gonna talk to Him about it. Let out my feelings. Let everything out, and then, we'll see what happens from there. I started to do that, and let me tell you, man, like, it's more of like a venting process where it's like, okay, at least I let everything out, and now He knows, and then I just try to just trust into whatever He's gonna do. I'm still kind of trying to get the understanding of it as well, where it's like, well, how do I, he can't talk back to me, obviously, so what do I have to do? Is you just got to take it day by day. You cannot think to the future. You cannot dwell on the past. What we can do is focus on the now. Be present. So let's try to be present right now, and let's try to focus on what we can now. All right. God can handle what's going to happen in the future. The past is the past. We have to leave it. We cannot dwell on it. So let's us focus on the now, and let's just give God the rest of our plans in the future. All right. So going back to the faith stuff, it's more of like, when we have a good day, our faith tends to skyrocket in a way. Which, don't get me wrong, it's normal, because that's happened to me. I've been a victim of it in a way. um, our faith tends to like blow up, and we tend to believe more and be like, oh my God, yes, it's working. I'm doing the good works, and now He's rewarding me. And then when things stop going our way, and we feel like, oh man, we're alone, I think God forgot about me, and I think God is, you know He's not there for me. That's not true. He's always there for you. It took me a while to understand, and I'm still trying to understand. I'm not gonna sit here and lie saying, "Oh, yes, I understand now." No, it's still hard to believe and understand where He's not going to give us all that we ask for. There's a reason for it. He's not doing it out of for His own entertainment. He's doing it because that's what we have to go through. No matter what, no matter how horrible it could be, yes, it could be very bad. It's for a reason. He's molding us into the person that He wants us to become. So whether, yes, we're gonna have very good days, we're gonna have days where, yes, He answers our prayers, but we're also gonna have days where we feel alone. And the days where we feel alone, that's when the faith that we have needs to be stronger. And don't get me wrong, it's a very hard task to keep that faith when things are not looking the best. You understand? Because trust me, I've been there. I've lost people that I love. I lost my grandfather, my grandmother, and it was a test of faith. Of like, man, I'm just hit rock bottom. I've gone through financial struggles. I've gone through, relationship struggles. I've gone through so much struggles that at my lowest, you ask, why am I going through this? What did I do to deserve this? Why am I alone? Does he not hear me? And before I wasn't as religious as I am now, but I did have a feeling. I did believe that there is something out there. I mean, I was a Roman Catholic because I was born to it, but I just believe in Jesus Christ. I guess I'm Christian, I guess. you know, but I believe in God. I do believe in God, and I do believe that there is a God. So whenever I had those feelings, I never lost faith, and that was the thing, because I could have easily just been like, you know what, screw this. I don't believe in anything anymore. She's gone. I have no money. I lost, my friends or a girl, whatever. It could have gone south, but I'm now, you know, as I'm sitting here now, you tend to realize, because of that little seed of faith that I had in my heart and a little belief, I'm out. I'm a brand new person. I'm molding into a brand new person, I should say. I could have gone to the route of a lot of substance abuse, a lot of alcohol, out of this, but you know, he kept me in check in a way. He guided me to the right direction, and now I'm sitting here before you, telling you, recording this as a man who's now more deeper into faith rather than more away from it. There's a reason why he does the things that he does. We may not understand it, and we probably won't ever understand it because we cannot comprehend what he does, but sometimes when you play things out, it just tends to work out. So you have to truly just trust in him and find a way to trust in him. And don't get me wrong, it's hard. Yeah, it's very hard, but it's not going to happen overnight. We have to just kind of start with baby steps. We have a little problem, let's pray about it. We have a little, now, anything that we feel uneasy about, just go to him first. That's what I've been doing, and I feel like I'm getting a little better at it. It's a process, but you know, we move. But yes, that's what I wanted to talk about today's episode. Just you know, God. Just trusting into that process, that trust and that faith that we have, and I feel like that's a big part in kind of transitioning. Is to just truly have faith in Him, right? So to end off the episode, we're gonna read a passage, and I'm gonna put this for the TikTok. You know, so yeah, we're gonna read a passage. Genesis 4:13, and it goes like this. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one of the fitteth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived a bear, and bare Enoch. And he builded the city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehuel. I hope I said that right. And Mehuel begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of those was Adah, and the name of the other was Zillah. And Adah bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, of the such have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the sharp. Oh, sorry. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, and an instructor of every artificial in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. So sorry. Was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Ara and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again. And she bare a son, and called his name Seth, for God said, She hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth to him also there was a born of a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So that was something. I'm gonna stop there. I stopped at Genesis 4:13, and I stopped. I was at 13, and I stopped at 26. So now there's a big 5 here, and then that's where it begins. Genesis 5:31. I'm not gonna read that. But what I am gonna say is I do have trouble understanding a lot of these things. Um, so in the comments, if you guys can help me out, and that would be amazing. You know, so we just got a bunch of names here. Irad, Bigat, Mehuhail. It's a bunch of stuff. This is my first time reading it, so obviously I'm gonna, I'm gonna struggle a bit, but yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at there. Tomorrow I'm gonna read the where it starts with the 5, because I think we're starting a new book if I'm not mistaken, because it says this is the book of a generations of Adams. And the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. So I think we're gonna start like a new chapter in a way. But as of right now, I have a really good I guess a so and so understanding of what's going on. But yes, I'm gonna end the podcast here. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for just listening and hearing out. And for the TikTok people, if you guys want if you guys want to hear that full podcast that we talked about a bunch of stuff, feel free to go to my bio and look at that link or whatever, because yeah, or I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. That's my channel, so that way you guys go check it out, and just watch my pod. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys for sticking around and just ranting with me. I love you guys. Stay blessed, stay cute, and I will see you guys in the next pod. Later, alligator.